Hi everyone, this is Terry and this is Ellison, and we are the Sky Whisperers. And today we are going to be talking about the astrology of the month of June. And how does it look like, June?
Yeah, we were just talking about it. Excuse me. So it starts off kind of, it's coming out of that full moon. So we're starting off with the moon sort of winding down a little bit, and Mercury moving from Gemini, where it was happy, into Cancer. So that's something to start off with. And then the first part of the month is actually relatively quiet. We've got a beautiful Venus Jupiter aspect, but generally there's nothing too big and important there. But then on the 15th we get a new moon in Gemini, and it's quite special. So hang on for that. You'll want to listen to that. And then we've got Chiron moving into Taurus. Now that's big news because it's an outer planet. It's a big shift, so that's something we'll be talking about in a little bit of detail. And then that's followed by the summer solstice. Hey, so it's officially summer, and that's really nice. We'll look at that chart too. And we move on. And at the end of the month, we've got Mars going into Gemini, Mercury going retrograde again. Oh no, Mercury retrograde again. And a full moon on the 30th at the same time as Jupiter moves into Leo. So it's all happening at the end, actually.
Yeah,
So, yep, hang on for
exactly.
that and we'll talk you through it.
Okay. Shall
So,
we talk about the full moon in Sagittarius just to recap the
good
end
idea.
of the month? Yeah, yeah.
Let's just look at that one actually. Where are we here? So if I just get the 31st up,
Yes. It should be
and we can look at this
4,
full moon
9.
in Sagittarius. Yeah, there it
Yeah.
is.
Yes, 9:55 exactly. Yeah, that was the end of the 31st of May, and actually you would be, I think, seeing this. The recording would be out before the full moon in Sagittarius, so it's good
Yeah.
to give an idea about that. So, what about this full moon in Sagittarius again? I just wrote about it, but it's like for me, it's like,
Well, I just feel it's a full moon full of kind of uncertainty and possibility, actually. I mean,
yeah,
it's kind of big picture and the detail, but Sagittarius about the journey, Mercury is about connections and about detail. But they're connecting to that Saturn in Aries as well. So I feel there's some energy behind it, and also some a sense of holding, because I think when Saturn connects to some of the mutable signs, it actually gives it a little bit more stability. So I quite like this full moon actually in many ways. Could be a time for some important decisions. Things that you've been thinking through, or some information that you've been gathering, or something like that. So it seems to make sense. How about you, Terry?
yeah, I think, I mean, that I agree. I mean, with the maybe Saturn bringing stability with its connection, also it is in harmony. I mean, in a way, like whatever. I mean, it's like
Absolutely.
in a way when we are thinking about the Saturn here, it's like that I think. Whatever the journey is, whatever the exploration is about, going to be in the second half of this journey. I mean, like in that sense, Saturn is also, I think, brings some kind of individuality there, because it's like Saturn in Aries is like
Mhm.
our personal boundaries. I mean, like, I think in a way restamping our signature at the end of the day, whatever in area is that. So I think in that sense it
Yeah.
brings that kind of like personal space, whatever is going on. And I think it's like, yeah, as I said, I mean, this is about like um, journey. I mean, like there's a journey. I mean, I think with the, I mean, Sun in Gemini, and there is a journey with the Moon in Sagittarius, but there are different journeys, of course. I mean, like, because one
Yes.
is like more, there's a more like a philosophical or that kind of exploration. You go for the wisdom, and the other one is like more like rational. I mean, like, what's the information? What do I see? I
Yeah.
mean, no,
Rational.
and
Mhm.
let's do it through the communication, and then like all these social interactions and that kind of thing. The other one can go into the woods, the other one will go into a cafe or restaurant or some space and do that's there is kind of I mean information collection, but in different versions, I think. And they have to I think exchange that qualities with each other so that the way
For
can
sure.
go forward. Yeah, the journey can finish probably.
Yeah, and I think that's made even more important by the fact that the moon will then go on to connect with that Saturn. So that's going to be the first aspect, which I think is also nice. So yeah, okay. So not as uncertain, perhaps, well, uncertainty, but uncertainty with the possibility of some decisions and resolution. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so as we move on, we can see that by the afternoon there, let me just move it through to the afternoon
Mhm,
actually.
mhm.
Um, we've got Mercury moved into Cancer.
Yeah.
There he is, our trickster god. So out of his sign of obviously rulership and into somewhere where he's doesn't care whether he's there or not really.
I don't know. Yeah, Mercury in Cancer. Yeah, it's like it's more like yeah, it's like when you go out of from Gemini, it's like there's a connection, but the connections are different because I think with Gemini, it's more like yeah, we talk fine, okay. I mean, but I mean, we don't really connect. I mean, like
Okay.
by heart, no. We
Yeah,
connect
yeah, yeah.
with our
Okay.
minds. I mean, but I think in Mercury in Cancer, I think it's like we connect with our hearts. I mean, like we are talking, but at the same time, there is this emotional connection going on.
hmm
So it's like the way that the things change in a way. I don't know what do you
No,
say?
I think you're right. And I think there is as well this shift in terms of communication. I always think of it as a shift from the rational to the imaginal, if you like. You know, you're
Yeah,
moving
yeah.
from something where Mercury is rational and you're thinking about it very rationally and making those rational connections to
Yeah,
something which is much more about the imagination. And it's almost like moving as well from writing to painting, if you like,
yeah,
that kind of thing. So it's nice, perhaps
yeah,
to
exactly.
just connect a little bit more emotionally, for sure.
Yeah, exactly, exactly,
The
exactly. I,
that might be exacerbated. I mean, there might be a little bit more of that actually. We'll go back a day. On the third and fourth, when there's the square to Neptune and trying to maybe make some kind of emotional connection, can also be confusing when Mercury is square to Neptune. Not quite sure what's happening, what the information is that you're getting there. Um, so maybe not making any important decisions that day because Neptune can always throw a bit of a spanner into the works, I think.
it's
Uh,
like also I think with Mercury, I mean in Cancer, it's like I mean you have more like your family, your home in mind, but I think
mm,
in Neptune, it's like it's about you. So it's like I think that kind of um,
yeah,
dilemma between family and myself, and then I think that kind of thing, I mean we can be in a literal position that I mean we have been imagining to do something for ourselves, very simple. I mean like today is my day, I'm planning to do this for myself, and something gets like priority, and then
yeah.
that becomes that you just like Ugh. How come? I think it can be something like that. I'm very,
Yeah, no, I think that's a good interpretation. Yeah, the idea of family and self. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yep, and the conflict that can exist between them, it's not a big deal, but it's there all the same, for sure.
yeah, 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 exactly.
Yeah, okay. So we move on from there, sort of slowly, slowly. We've got quite a build-up of planets now in waters, so there's this intensification on this idea of family and tribe as we move through this sort of initial part of the month.
Yeah.
Even though we've obviously still got the sun in Gemini there, it's still
Mm.
Gemini season. Um, but that sort of becomes even more apparent here on the 25th, I think, when we've got this Venus Venus Jupiter conjunction at 25 degrees of Cancer.
Mhm.
So I mean, the two planets that are the most kind of benefic, if you like, in traditional astrology, the kind of the goodies coming together there at 25 Cancer. So if you've got things at 25 in the water signs, Cancer, Scorpio or Pisces, you could have a lovely kind of emotional connection that day.
Mhm.
Anyway, a good day for connecting emotionally with people, could be a lovely day for relationships, something like that. It's a Tuesday, so you're probably not going to be doing anything too special, but but still, it's a nice day there for getting in touch with your emotions, for getting in touch with family, and for thinking about how those things can grow and expand as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it makes a nice. Uh, it's generally, I think it looks very harmonious with the sky as well. So I think
Yeah,
it's nice. And yeah,
for sure. Yeah. Okay, and we move through. What date was the Mercury shadow beginning there?
it's Mercury, June 13. It is
Lovely.
2:53 France time.
Okay, 253. That's fine. It's okay. We can just look at Mercury here at 16 degrees Cancer, starting that shadow period before turning retrograde. So this is the point that it will go back to after it's finished its retrograde, just to be clear. And it doesn't really go backwards, of course. We all know that. It just looks like it's going backwards from where we're standing on Earth. So if you're a
Yeah,
Mercury
exactly.
watcher, yeah.
And it's like what I like calling this period is like the trailers. I mean, more or less, we
Yes.
start already experiencing. I mean, it's like the part that, I mean, how it could be, how we could experience it during the retrograde period. We will start already the showcases or some kind of clues. We start collecting those clues, what could happen. So I think in that sense, I mean, from June 13 to June 29, when the Mercury really goes retrograde, we can start already feeling the impact of this retrograde period. Wherever
Yeah.
Mercury in Cancer, in those degrees, fall in our natal charts, we can see. I mean, you can look at the Cancer area where this, if you have a, I mean, and you will see.
Yeah.
You will probably start feeling that.
Yeah, for sure. So that's important actually, and it's a good point there that Terry made about always looking just to see where these are falling in your natal chart, because that's probably the area of life where these things are going to start manifesting.
Mhm.
Whatever the themes are, the stories that are going with these transits. So that is important. Yeah, and this one, of course, Cancer, we're back to the imagination, family, tribe, connecting emotionally with people. So those kinds of things. Yeah, great. And Venus at the same time is moving into Leo, so moving away from Cancer. And I think it was only a couple of years ago, Venus was retrograde in Leo, and we had that Barbie film, didn't we? So it's very much
Yeah,
about,
yeah,
yeah, it feels a bit like girl power, I think, when Venus is in Leo, really.
yeah, yeah, I think so. I mean, it's like I think for probably Venus, I mean, it can be about, of course, our values, the way we relate to people, but it can be
Mm,
art. I mean, like I think it's a very creative period also.
definitely.
For some people, I mean, like maybe Venus in Cancer, you are writing some notes, I mean, poems, etc., out or something like lyrics. But I mean, like if Venus in maybe Leo is the time to be confident enough to put them out, because it's like, that they,
Express it,
yeah, express it, share it with the other people. I think it's
for
like,
sure.
yeah, it's an interesting, but I think it's nice. I think Venus in Leo, I don't know if I always feel like it's wow, it's in Leo.
Yeah,
No.
I think it's very out there, isn't it? It's let's put the red jacket on and go and kind of walk down the high street and look at me
Yeah,
kind of thing. And it's trining that Neptune as well, which I think is going to give that extra power. Neptune in Aries, it's about the ideal of the individual and stuff. So I think there's a lot here about self-expression and the confidence to
yeah,
go forward.
yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, nice that's great.
Nice, nice. Yes.
And then on the 15th, yeah, we're moving. onto this new moon, which is really interesting because it's completely on its own in this part of the chart. So
Isolated, yes.
isolated, exactly. Yeah. So what were you saying about that before we started, Terry? Something interesting about
Yeah,
amplifying it.
that is, I mean, I was watching one of the workshops by Carol Taylor about unaspected planets, and these when two planets, they just aspect each other and nothing else in the sky,
Hmm.
then that is called, I mean, like they are not unaspected, but they are called duet. According to Jeffrey Deans, I think he coined that term. So it's like it amplifies because we only
Mm,
have each other. We don't have anyone else that is in connection. So, like, it could be, I mean, in the case of I mean, like an opposition and a square here, of
mm,
course, in conjunction, but it's like, yeah, we do only have what, and it makes that, in this case, a unification amplified. I mean, like,
hmm.
it puts the, I think, in a way, spotlight on that in a way. So I think it's really interesting. But what does new in moon in Gemini mean? Yeah, it could be lots of ideas, I think,
Lots of
what's going on.
ideas, lots of connections, lots of talking to people, but there's a sense here, isn't there, very much of our of the emotions and the solar energy being connected and conjoined here, and something about a lack of conflict, but a sort of an absolute desire to do something, I think, and to maybe to write something, to make something that's to do with this Gemini themes, to connect with people, but but doing it sort of on a very emotional level as well as on a solar level. So we normally think of Gemini as being quite rational and it's kind of a head thing, but actually here I think it comes from the inside as well. So I think it's interesting. I mean, it's a great new moon for starting a new writing project, I think, with and it's also about contracts, but unfortunately we've got Mercury in the shadow period, so we might want to hold off on that for a while. But it's definitely about finding out information and making connections, 100%. Mm.
And also, it's interesting because, yeah, that's true that Mercury is in shadow period, but it's in Cancer, and that's the dispositing, that's the ruler of that actually new moon. So, in that sense, when you are talking about that Mercury in Cancer, like starting new projects, etc., you can be, I think, sometimes digging about your history of the family and etc., collecting information. Maybe it would be something like that, like writing a biography or autobiography, and
Yes.
that kind of thing. It also comes to our mind. But I think there is this. I mean, of course, there is moon and the sun, but Mercury being in Cancer also gives more kind of a level of a flavor of emotions and nurturing, etc., to
Yeah.
whatever starts would be done through this new moon in Gemini. I think that could be really interesting. Yeah, it could
It's
be.
actually mutual reception, isn't it? Of course,
Mhm.
because yes, the moon there ruling Mercury and Mercury ruling the moon. So there's a definite duality there. Yeah,
Yeah,
interesting. Okay.
yeah.
Right. So new starts there for people and that amplification that we talked about. And here we've still got Venus in Leo, and she's moving on actually to oppose Pluto in just we didn't mean to do that, but we will switch that over in just a few days' time.
Mhm.
So we've got it three, four. And then it moves on to five. So around the 17th, 18th, you'll probably feel it the most on the 17th. There's this challenge of Venus and Pluto. And this really does feel like a bit of a power struggle, actually. I
Yeah.
think. I mean, this is a women in society power struggle for me, but I mean, on a personal level, it could be a power struggle within relationships. It could be that effort to express yourself that you're finding here. It's connecting into to Neptune before it moves on to the opposition with Pluto. So it might be about putting something out there into society and how is that actually going to be received, I think. It's a challenge. You say, right, there you go. What do you think of that then? And then
Mm.
Pluto is there.
Yeah, I
How's
mean
it going to
it's
take it?
yeah, because it's like there is much. I mean Venus in Leo, or when we think about Neptune in Aries, there is something more personal going about it. I mean it's
Mm,
about me. I mean it's like you are thinking more, I think, about yourself rather than the society or other people. But Pluto in Aquarius is more about the in some aspects more about the society. So in that sense, I mean, I think that struggle comes from there. I mean, you can be doing wonderful things for yourself, I mean, or something wonderful going for the society
mm,
there, but how do they meet? I mean, because sometimes what is good for me could not be good for the, I mean, the rest of the community, or it's the other way around. So
yeah,
how do you make them meet in the midway in a way, right? I mean, you have to, I think, compromise. Okay, you have to maybe give up something from yourself, or the other part something, because
could
otherwise
be.
it would be just also there are fixed signs. It would be like two goats. I mean, it's like, no, my way, no, you, my way, no, I'm not
Mm,
going to. Then none of you will pass. I mean, that's it. It could be within yourself. I mean,
mm,
depending on the houses, but it could be about really, I mean, like the group that you are part of also. I mean, it's like, so
for
you have
sure.
to find
Yeah,
this middle way in that sense, not to get it
yeah.
more intensified. I mean,
Yeah, I think that's good advice for that transit, definitely. Yeah, be aware of the power of this transit and try and find some compromises
yeah,
somewhere.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, so after that, we move on to Chiron moving into Taurus.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, well, this is a big shift. I mean, Chiron, as we were saying earlier, it doesn't stay for the same length of time in every sign. It's been a long time in Aries, and it will go back to Aries at the end of the year. So in Aries, it was a Chiron being the wounded centaur. We were thinking about it as a wound to our individuality, a wound to our ability to get out there and do things. Um, Perhaps on a personal level, and now moving into Taurus, it spoke to me immediately of the our bodies and what are we doing to them and paying attention to them. And we had Uranus in Taurus, which was talking to us about food security until quite recently, and this seems to be kind of extending that theme in a sense. And what is how the stuff we've been eating and the stuff we've been putting into ourselves and into our planet, it's now becoming very apparent that these things we're poisoning everything essentially, and the environment is suffering, our health is suffering too, in
Yeah,
many cases, in many cases.
in any case, yeah, that's true. I think in that sense, I mean, it's as it could be about like how feeding ourselves. It could be like I was talking about that with you before we started recording. It could be about our voice. I mean, like
Voice, yeah.
how do I mean, like it's not like I'm talking voice, but it's like our voice. I mean, like how we express ourselves and then voice things in our lives. I mean, in that sense, it could be a wound, or it could be sometimes being that voice that
Being
connects
the
the
voice, yeah.
yeah, being the voice that connects the, I mean, like your past to the future, because
Mm,
Chiron is the bridge as well. I mean, because it's like
true.
it's also, I mean, when you look at the sky, it's somewhere between the Saturn and Uranus. So it's
It
like
does
it's
the loop,
there is this old and the new, and the past and the future, and you are
yes.
in a way. How do you use that? I mean, sometimes it's true that, I mean, the past couldn't be wonderful, or there is a past that um, could not be the best, but I think maybe Chiron could give you the chance to voice whatever is like not gone well in the past, and then how
Mm.
we can make it better in the future, and using your voice for that. I mean, it can be anything. I mean, so it's interesting. I mean, it's, I think for some people also it would be Chiron return, so born
Yeah,
in
I think
same
that
day.
that is interesting, and it's about you know, as individuals, do we have a voice? Of course, you know, are we being heard? And but I like, yeah, of course, the Rainbow Bridge is important for Chiron and the links with the future. And it's but it's this is also about finance, isn't it, and land and things like that, and you know, who does the land actually belong to? Taurus is very about holding on, but maybe here it's sort of saying, you know, that we need to let go of the need to have all this stuff as well that we're so attached to, and just allow ourselves to move forward, you know, without this attachment all the time and the need to just accumulate all the time, because there's definitely something about that. Taurus needs that kind of firm security, and Chiron there to me is saying it's not real. You know, there is no real security, and you can see that how easily people's lives are destroyed. You know, without wishing to be too political, but just when a bomb, you know, goes off somewhere and suddenly the security's gone, nobody, it feels more and more uncertain, I think, that security. So I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
part of it too. But the possibility of working with that knowledge to build something more sustainable is also part of Taurus.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, yeah, that you try to build something that that is more consistent, more sustainable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, that possession, but what kind of possession? Where should I? I think in that sense, Chiron could be the mentor, that financial mentor that could give us the, I mean, like, the saying that, I mean, like, maybe, as you said, let go of this, but maybe invest. It's an investment. It can be any kind of, it's not only tangible investments. I mean, you could be investing your time, your knowledge, etc. Where do I invest it? I think in that sense, I think Chiron could be a good teacher for us, where
Hmm.
we have to focus our investments and our possessions in a way. I think yeah, it could be a quite long uh, transit, if
Yeah.
we need to say. I mean, like, it will this year in September 18, it will go back to Aries,
Yeah.
and it was in Aries since 2018, more or less. And
Hmm.
then, of course, it will move back to Taurus again. And the first, I think that it will pass to Gemini in July 2020, 2033. And after that, there would be a retrograde, and May 2034 would be the
It's
time
okay,
that
Terry.
it would be just the time that it will go to Gemini. So it's a quite
Yeah.
long transit. It's like more or less 6, 7 years. Yes,
Eight
if we
years
are
almost.
talking
Yeah.
about, yeah, we will be
Yeah.
together with the Chiron's
So
teachings,
yeah. So time to work
Chiron's
through
lessons.
this.
Yes, yeah, yeah,
Sure.
exactly.
Mm. Yeah, it's interesting one, isn't it? Um,
Yeah.
and it's certainly a long-term one. And then we move on to the summer solstice, which I'm not actually
Yeah.
sure that I have any more here. So I'm just going to need to put that in again.
Okay.
So that is the 21st of June, of
June,
course. And what time have we got?
10:25, I think, in France time.
Yeah, 10:25. Lovely. So the sun moving into Cancer. There we are. Great. And immediately you can see that it's got that square to Neptune, but it's making a sextile to Chiron in Taurus. So a sense of working with all those themes of finance, security. And the sun in Cancer, of course, is naturally careful, you know, careful with things, careful with resources, self-protective, really. So it looks to the long term, I always think Cancer. Dig us back into the past, of course. Cancer is about the home and family in the past, the ancestors, where have I come from, but also is actually looking quite carefully towards the future too. Various famous millionaires with the sun in Cancer, so it's definitely a thing. And the moon at the time, obviously dispositing, ruling that sun is in Virgo. So practical solutions to things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. Being efficient, whatever
Being
you are doing.
efficient for sure. Yeah. And a good work ethic, Virgo, too, I always think. Yeah. It's working for things that you believe in and are important. And there's the ideals, of course. And can you achieve them as this Sun squares Neptune there? Making nice trine to the nodes, so that's a positive, I think. Is it aligning to the collective destiny in the North Node in Pisces there? So there's a
Hmm.
certain emotional feel to this chart, actually. Before we move away from the watery themes altogether, when Jupiter leaves Cancer, we've still got the emotional connections here in this chart with these three planets.
But of course, I think when you are starting the Cancer season, to see that in traditional planets, except Uranus, and Pluto, they are all outer planets. There is no air in the
Right.
air in the air. So I think that all being in this emotional or state, etc., we have to think. Like we
Hmm.
have to put our minds into action here, I think, or make a more effort not to be like, I think, swamped in other stuff. I mean, I think it's really important to communicate, to make sure that we are understood carefully, especially
Mm.
thinking that again Mercury in Cancer is still going to be in the shadow period. So we
Yeah.
have to really make sure that words are passed through
Hmm.
in the right way. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Yes. Yes. I like that. Yes. No traditional planets in air. So we absolutely need to make sure we think things through carefully, focus on the thinking process, because the rest of it should come relatively easily in the
Yeah.
next sort of 3 months. Because the solstice obviously is taking us up to the equinox in Libra in September. So we can see this as a chart that's going to take us through the next 3 months, if you like, one of the cardinal points of the year. And very
Mhm.
magical, of course. So, don't miss out on that either. If you feel like a little ritual, a little moon ritual, perhaps that would also be nice.
Yeah, exactly. That's true.
Yeah, lovely. And then Mars is moving very shortly after, or quite shortly after, into Gemini. Yep, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, late on the 28th, but Mars into Gemini at the same time that Mercury, that Gemini ruler, is about to turn retrograde there. So if I
Mm-hmm.
just move this chart on a few hours, we can probably see that happening. So that's Mars into Gemini and Mercury then, oh, what's happened? Still not turned retrograde. Okay, there we
Now
are. It's
ready.
retrograde now. Okay. Um, Retrograde at 26 Cancer. So, if you do have things around that point, and it's interesting because that was the point of the Jupiter, pretty much Jupiter Venus conjunction earlier. So if you've got things around 25, 26 Cancer, those cardinal signs, you might be feeling this month, decisions to be made, things sort of coming out of nowhere, or just things that you need to work through in whatever area of your chart that's connecting with. So
So
that's
Mars
pretty,
in Gemini. Mars in
yeah,
Gemini. What do you
sorry.
say about Mars in Gemini? Because this is Jupiter in Leo, but we will come to that before coming to Jupiter
Yeah.
in Leo and Mercury retrograde. What about Mars in Gemini? It's a
Mars
speedy
in
in a different
Gemini.
way.
Okay, so and coming up to the conjunction with Uranus as well, which it will
Hmm.
make in probably just at the beginning of July. Um, yeah, so again, we've got this emphasis on information, on finding things out. I do think with all this Gemini, actually, you do need to be a little bit careful of mental overload because, there's a
Yeah.
lot going on. It can be quite stressful with this continued kind of Gemini emphasis all the time. And that was true, by the way, of that full moon at the beginning that we started with, that was at the end of May too. I do think you've got to be careful with these mutable signs that you'll keep trying to do things and you're pulled in lots of different directions. So I think Mars in Gemini is about the multitasking, but about kind of trying to keep focused. And perhaps the Mercury turning retrograde is helping us to do that, saying actually focus, but you're going to go back over stuff now. You're going to be looking through things, reading back through the information, editing things, just checking things out, making sure everything's in order. Because Mars in Gemini can just be too full of information, wanting to give it out, wanting to take it in, collecting it from all kinds of places. So yeah, that's what I think about that actually. And that's going
Yeah.
to, I don't know, well, I'm just going to flick forward just to see when it just does connect with.
No.
Yes, so it's into July, but just a few days into July, it's going to be connecting
Yeah. Exactly.
with
Exactly.
Uranus, which is going to make that like 20 times worth. Okay,
That. Yeah.
so and Jupiter then moving into Leo.
Mercury retrograde first. I think that we
Mercury
can
retrograde
make.
first. Yeah, always our
Yeah.
favorite. In the sign of
Mer-
Cancer.
Legendary Mercury retrograde, second time in another water sign, and the third time would be in water sign. So we
Yeah,
don't
that's in
have
Scorpio.
that. This would be water sign Mercury retrograde this year.
Mm-hmm.
2026 can be called like that. I mean, like, yeah, I think it's like. I mean, in general, I mean, retrograde periods is about, in any case, anything reflection. I mean, what you have done through the normal, I mean, the direct
Yeah.
period, you only have to like step back and review everything that things that you have done uh, regarding
Mm-hmm.
that planet. I mean, Mercury, it could be writings, it could be thinking, it could be the ideas, it could be the way that you communicate, it could be related with I mean, your siblings even
Mm-hmm.
as well. I mean, so you can all think about all those things, and then you say you step back, okay, take a break, make that pause, and then
Mm.
reflect, and then I mean, go back. What did I do? What did I think? Was this right type of communication? Should I have said that? Maybe I should have said, put it in another way, etc. I think that could be a period of thinking about our past, our home life,
And
uh,
it could be
the way that.
reconnecting with the family too, couldn't it? Because sometimes you get connections coming back into your life with Mercury retrogrades. And
Hmm.
with, I think in Cancer, that could definitely be old friends, people you've had emotional connections with in the past that are now sort of coming back. And that quite often happens for me, especially in the first couple of days when Mercury sort of turns retrograde. So I think that could definitely be something, especially with Mars moving into Gemini and being about that connection. The
Hmm.
moon at the time is in Capricorn. Uh, yeah, which can also be about the past. It can also, Capricorn obviously be quite spiritual, but it's very disciplined. So I do think there's something actually about looking things over, being careful and being disciplined about because Cancer can be quite disciplined actually. It's moody, of course. Could be you could be feeling a bit down actually with Mercury retrograde in Cancer, but Mars is in a sort of busy party sign, so hopefully not. And making connections too with Pluto. So
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
interesting.
Mhm.
But obviously, double check all travel plans, the usual Mercury retrograde stuff, the internet, you might have outages and problems with your Wi-Fi, all that kind of thing. So,
Yeah,
Don't
exactly.
sign any contracts until it not only goes direct, but gets out of its shadow period, which we will
Yeah,
tell you
don't.
about next month.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Don't buy new stuff. Don't jump into new contracts.
Yeah,
Always.
for sure.
I mean, if you have to do stuff, you do, but it's always saying that approach things with caution. Maybe
Yeah,
twice the normal time. I think that's the thing.
exactly.
I mean, you cannot stop your life. Of course, there is no
So,
one is expecting that, but I mean, it's like, yeah, just that the precaution should play more role in these
yeah,
periods.
definitely. Definitely. And then we have Jupiter in Cancer. Well, this feels like a big deal to me because obviously Jupiter
Leo.
moving to Leo, because obviously Jupiter takes a year to go through the sign. I said to Terry, it feels like a very long time. And Terry said, no, it's just the normal length of time. It's a year. I'm like, okay. It seems to me like it's been there forever. I think it might be because it's going through my 12th house. And I'm like, really? Come on, let's move. So I'm quite looking forward to Jupiter going into Leo, actually. I'm quite up for this. I mean, I know it's kind of, it's exalted in Cancer and it's all been lovely in family time, and that has been really nice. I don't want to knock that, but yeah, I'm looking forward to the focus being more on self-expression, and it's going to connect then nicely with the planets in fire, that especially that Neptune, and being much more about putting yourself out there and faith in yourself and leadership, and just yeah, exactly, putting yourself out there. I quite like that, and finding meaning through individuality and personal expression.
And also I mean, I think it's like it's a way to expand your creativity in that sense because Leo is
Creativity,
a
yeah,
very,
for
very,
sure.
very, very, very creative sign, and you can find other ways to find meaning in your creativity, in your skills, in your skill set, and how to, I mean, like grow them and then make them
Mm,
visible. I think in a way. I mean, I think Jupiter in Leo can make it in that sense more visible, and as it has meaning for you, it could be meaningful for others, and it could be also sometimes you go just on a creative journey as well. I mean, it's not necessarily, I mean, like long term, I mean, long distance, you are going somewhere, but in your mind also you can go into a creative journey. I mean, it's like I have Jupiter in Leo, but I have it in the 12th house. You were saying, oh, it's going to move out of there. And I'm like, no, it's not moving out of the 12th house. I mean,
well,
for me,
sorry,
it's
Terry.
just there. It's just there. I mean, but it's like, I mean, I think, yeah, it works. I mean, at the end of the day, whichever house it will move through, I think it will, I think probably in that sense, I mean, uh, it will bring more confidence in whatever you are doing,
Yeah,
in whatever it
yeah,
is touching, and you can have a chance to show your authenticity in different areas of life,
yeah,
and
for sure. Yeah,
it's also fun. I mean, you can spread
yeah.
fun with that
Hmm.
as well. I mean, so it's like it can be interesting. So in that sense,
Yeah,
I think it would be a nice period until next year, towards the end of June. It will move out of Leo, so we can use that period nice for showing ourselves in a way.
yeah. Authenticity. Yeah, I think for sure. I like that too. And yeah, of course, it is fun. Yeah, Leo likes to be out there, likes to spread its largesse, definitely.
Yeah.
Um, what did I want to say? Oh, yeah, just that I always think the shift from Cancer to Leo, whatever the planet is, it's like you've spent this time focusing on your family, perhaps, and the people that you connect with doesn't have to be, biological family, and maybe sort of being a little bit nostalgic for the past or things like that. And then you move into Leo, and it's like a sort of bright light suddenly. I feel like this, and you're like, okay, well, I'm done with that now. I just need to focus a bit more on me. And I do feel it's a bit like that. One last thing I will say about this is that I was listening to a financial astrologer at the beginning of the year who said the markets always dip as soon as Jupiter goes into Leo after being in Cancer. So I don't know. Chiron in Taurus could do that too, actually. So that's a
Yeah.
thought. It will
Yeah.
square
Oh,
Chiron in Taurus there. So maybe
yeah,
that's
yeah.
something.
I think maybe, yeah, because I think the period that it goes, it's like, that at least in this part of the world, it's more like summer and everything, and then the holidays start. I think, I mean, for some parts, of course, the markets move faster, but for some parts, I think the markets in a way slow down. It couldn't be like, I mean, a September period, etc. I think
Hmm.
it could be, and for some people, it could be Jupiter return. So I think it could be interesting to, I think, reconsider. I mean, looking back 12 years, where was I 12 years back? What did I do?
Definitely.
What kind,
Yeah.
how did I grow? I mean, like what kind of things I improved in my life, or what kind of
Hmm.
a journey I was on. And then after that, we can see which kind of a journey we would go into for the next 12 years. I think it's really important to
Yeah.
consider those as well. So for the ones who will have returns, good luck.
Yeah,
Jupiter.
no, I do. I agree with you. I think it is very interesting to look back on your Jupiter journey over across the 12-year periods. Yeah, so
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, definitely, definitely for that. And if I just move this chart back a few hours, we can see that we've actually, that's still not the right time. I'm not very good at this. 57, 2:57? No, for the full moon in Capricorn.
Yeah, that I didn't write it down for it. I know that the degree is 8 degrees
Yeah,
14.
the degree is 8
So
degrees.
yeah, 8 degrees 14. So you should
All
go,
right.
I think, not
Yeah.
much
All right.
back.
Sorry. I would just move it back a few minutes. But anyway, we have this full moon now in Capricorn, so I'm just shifting back. Oh,
I think it will end up in 16 probably sometimes
yeah.
because the software is on
15, yeah. And here we go.
Pluto 5,
Nearly there.
14. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. So 8 degrees 14 of Capricorn. So this is always for me about work-life balance, the Capricorn and the Cancer
Cancer.
axis. You know, it's about the past and the future with the Cancer and the Capricorn future. And it's about your home life and your career. It's about who am I in private, who am I in public, these kinds of balances. And then what kind of compromises do I need? You know, what are the questions that are coming up around those subjects? What do I need to leave behind in order to address these issues in my life at the moment?
Yeah, probably
Yeah.
that will take us back to January 2025, the new moon
Okay.
that time
Hmm.
in Capricorn. I mean, I think, yeah, we could have started this journey. I mean, like, that is right, like, quite something steady, but also building new things, I mean, in our
Mm.
lives. I mean, so
Yeah.
maybe bringing new structures or realizing new realities, that sometimes, I mean, the
Yeah.
conditions, etc., change, so we have to get adapted to a new reality. And how did it work out for us until
Yeah.
this time, and what can we do about this further? I think it's important to see that. And I think, how also is it in relationship with our individual dreams, individual
Mm.
ideals. And I think, again, there is about the personal boundaries and no boundaries. I
Hmm.
think at the same time, I mean, it's like, where do we have to put the limits in a way? I mean, in that sense, I
For
mean, like,
sure.
so I think it could be really important
So
during. And
yeah, no, I think that's really good, and it's of course going to be ruled disposited this full moon by this Saturn in
Mhm,
Aries, which I think is what you were looking at there, Terry, which is squaring the full moon axis. I
Mhm.
think there could be some really difficult choices for people to make around this time, actually, which will almost certainly be related to whatever was happening back in the beginning of January 2025. That's something that started then, and you're coming back and you're thinking, well, actually, where are we now with that? Do we continue? Are we actually now going to let something go? What are the boundaries? Yeah, and the boundaries are going to be practical, financial, and just emotional as well. And yeah, I don't think it's a very easy full moon, this actually. I
Yeah,
think I mean we've got this trine building that this magic sort of sextile here that's coming up building there. Um, so that's potentially supportive, I guess. Jupiter at this moment actually is still in Cancer. It hadn't quite moved forward, so that's still to happen. So I think it is emphasizing those Cancer questions of home and family and what are we actually doing here? Is it actually time to move on to let something go? And that might be ideas or things that we hoped for or yeah, whatever. Just something that's not quite working that we need to put down and just say, okay, we're going to do something different now. Mhm.
yeah. I mean, because when you look at it, I mean that uh, both I think Neptune and Saturn with the relationship of the with the full moon, it's like that kind of. I always like that chariot here is like you are trying to make this balance in your life, and actually, I
Mm.
mean, on in the middle of that, you are it's you who is making who is
Yeah.
calling the shots in a way. I
Yeah.
mean, like it's like this. I mean, it's not anyone else. It's you are trying to find a way, whatever is happening in your, I mean, work, whatever happening in your career, and whatever happening in your home, and you are in the middle of that, and you are trying to say, I have to personally go forward in a way, and I have to take care of myself. And
Mhm.
how do I balance this so we can all move forward at the end of the day?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
something like that.
Yes, exactly. And then obviously then that's when hours afterwards, Jupiter is moving into
So,
still not got there, moving into there
yeah,
we are, moving
yeah,
into Leo to say, I need to think about me. I need to move on and really think about who I am in this world. Yeah.
mhm,
And that might be painful initially because it's got that square to Chiron. There might be some limitations involved in that, but still, Taurus is all about reality. So, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Interesting end to the month, I think, actually, Terry, don't you?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It will wrap up in a very interesting way again too. And then July wouldn't be, I think. I think July has something in the basket waiting for us. There would be other things
Has
happening
something
there.
what
So
waiting for us?
yeah, exactly. And then I think there is this also in July. That's the famous. What is it?
Oh, yeah, yeah, we've got the cradle.
Bucket,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
something,
yeah, yeah.
something going
There's
on
some
the
big
trine,
aspects. Yes,
the
yes, yes.
grand trine, etc. With that
Mm,
will going
that's the
on.
one.
We can talk about that when it comes to July, and in June, mid June, we will have a guest all the way hailing. I mean, our we had a wonderful conversation with Ashwin, so we will have
Yes,
that
Ashwin.
interview coming. Yeah,
He's so knowledgeable. I was just blown
yeah,
away. And
yeah.
yeah, I really, really wanted to go and sign up and learn his, and I might actually at some point, the Vedic astrology, I've
Jyotish.
got too much on at the moment, but I was just fascinated. So, and he talks about himself too, and he's such a
Yeah,
nice guy. So,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah, come back to us on the 15th for that conversation.
yeah, yeah. And that would be us for the moment. Thank you for listening to us.
Yeah,
Thank you
thank
for
you very
your
much.
support, and we will be continuing coming back and share our humble astrological insights with you. Yeah, thank you very
Yeah,
much.
thanks very much. Don't forget to press that like. Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you. Bye
bye.
bye. Bye.